Hello and welcome to The Art of Self. I am your host, Donna Guerreros, and I welcome you. The Art of Self can be found at theartofself.substack.com. Follow us along there. I post weekly, sometimes videos, sometimes writing, sometimes a podcast. But yeah, we'd love to have you over there. And speaking of The Art of Self, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for paid subscribers. Comes the end of the month when we head back to school time, Virgo season. And so if you are a subscriber, a paid subscriber, you will automatically be entered. That's my housekeeping item. How are you? How's it been going? I didn't know what to make this podcast episode about. I'm not going to lie. So what I did do is I pulled some tarot cards, and the tarot cards say the following. They say, 1, some of us may be having some regrets about how fast summer's going and that maybe we didn't do all the things that we wanted to do and things might be moving a little too fast for us. And now we're realizing September is coming. And my message to you is you're not 8 years old anymore. So the fact that September's coming, we're adults, it's actually much better because the kids are back in school. So it's also still, thanks to global warming, probably still going to be warm. So you can chill. And I'd say you have at least a month left. So let's reframe the narrative, people. And let's say that we have a month left of summer because we got until at least the second to third week of September, if you ask me. Plus we got, what's the one that's coming up? Memorial Day. We got that. And we're going to come up with a plan here together. We're going to make it count. Don't you worry. All right, let me adjust this volume. All right. So that's the first set of cards. Second set of cards, you kind of got to be your own best friend. You got to chill with yourself. You got to, you got to talk to yourself a little bit more like you talk to your friends. And maybe you got to go on some day dates. And maybe that's why your summer, if it kind of wasn't as, high times as you thought it was going to be over here, that maybe you didn't date yourself. Maybe you didn't push yourself out of your comfort zone. Maybe, you spent too many days on the couch, Netflix and chilling, which is fine. Maybe you needed it, but you got a month. So we're going to talk about that. And then also the last set of cards is about making your fun and making all the things that maybe we could be doing. Like you don't need to be in Europe, you don't need to be on a cruise. If you are, congrats. But there's plenty of stuff you can do in your own backyard. There's plenty of stuff. There's day trips. If you live in a big city, if you live in New York, I don't want to hear it. There's tons of stuff to do. Go to a museum, fucking you could pay $2 and be like, oh, you can do donations in New York City museums. You don't even have to pay the whole full price. So we're going to talk about all this stuff and we're going to get into it. And I'm going to do a little top. Let's do a little top, top 3, top 5 of what's going on. And then we're going to get into summer not being over and reframing that narrative. Sounds good? Okay. So did the tarot card pull. My other hot take is Simone Biles, rock star. Simone Biles, I wrote in my newsletter this past week, Art of Self, that's Substack.com. This woman took a step back from the moment, the present moment, when stuff was going on for her, when things weren't, when she needed to prioritize her mental health and prioritize her health and herself. And of course, people have opinions. People are always going to have opinions. But doing that in the short term paid off for her immensely in the long term. So if you were someone, let's tie this back to summer. If you were someone who had to take a break this summer, or you had to prioritize mental health or self-care or slow down or needed those Netflix and chills, or maybe didn't get to, where all the summer fits you thought you were going to be bopping around in, or whatever you had to do, don't worry about it. Look at this woman. She should be an inspiration to all of us. The fact that she said, no, I got to do what I got to do for me. And then the fact that she had boundaries and went into the Olympics basically being like, I'm not going to be down there in the food court with everybody. It's a little overwhelming. I'm going to go back to my room by myself, or I'm going to have my situation. I'm going to go to therapy. What did she thanked her therapist every Thursday. She said that's what's helped to get me here. Okay. So a lot of times we're doing little things, and I'm going to tie this all in. I promise. How I go, I go all over to 90 different spots, but I do bring it back together. I figure that out. She had to do all these small little things to get to this giant big goal, because at the where she was a couple of, I think it's years ago at this point, a couple of months, we'll say a lot of months ago, if she would have said, yo, I want to win a gold, her brain would not be able to handle that. Her nervous system wouldn't have been able to handle that. And then that would have also impacted and affected her body and her performance, right? So she had to take a step back. She had to prioritize, and she had to be like, how do I take care of me right now? And look, little incremental changes, gold, 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 gold. You know, that's where she's at now. So I want you to think about that and not be so hard on yourself. Okay? Sounds good? Sounds good. So this week, Tuesday, I also released a new post about what eating cheesecake with athletes and World Cup winners has taught me about life. And it really does tie into this whole Simone Biles thing. Okay? The post is about individual timelines. It's about how basically when we were younger, we were subscribing to an individual timeline. And then somewhere along the line, you had to hit the milestones. You had to hit, the tests that they do in school, the SATs. You had to move on, the structure and the patriarchy and the things got you caught up. And your individual timeline was replaced with the milestones, was replaced with the report cards, was replaced with you should be reading by this level, you should be doing this, if the president's physical fitness test, remember that? And then on top of that, the pressure for success, and in the last few years, the glorification of instant success, and because we love to make everything so perfect and shiny and new on Instagram, not realizing how long it takes to achieve something. Hello, Simone Biles, and putting her health, mental health, and all this stuff first, and chipping away behind the scenes and doing therapy and rebuilding herself as an athlete, not from like the physical sense. I mean, I really don't know like all that detail. Maybe she did. I don't know. But from, being an athlete is a lot of mental. Yes, you need physical, but it is a lot of mental, which we're going to talk about when we get into this, like me eating cheesecake with the athletes. You don't just get to the World Cup. You don't wake up on a Tuesday and say, you know what? Let me get a flight to Paris, think it's time to go to the Olympics, and I'm going to be a gymnast. This is years of training. This is years of dedication, years of boundaries, years of FOMO, not just your summer where you didn't go, to wherever you didn't go to that barbecue and you're beating yourself up about. This is years to get to this moment in time. Okay? So let's keep that in mind. This is not overnight success. Let's stop glorifying overnight success. Donna, I'm talking to myself now. You are on your own individual timeline. And if no one's taught you that, no one's told you that, I'm going to have that sink in for a minute. Okay? Let's just let that resonate. You are on your own individual timeline. Now, let's wrap ourselves in this individual. It's like being in VIP with yourself. It's your own club. You're the bouncer. You're the only one in the party. You're the DJ. You're mixing drinks in the corner, shaking them up. Hugo Spritzes all summer. That's my drink. And it's all about you. Okay? You're the only one. You make the password. You say the password. You're in. It is an individual timeline. Okay? What does that mean? Keep your eyes on your own paper. This is about you. Let's be selfish. Let's embrace it. Let's be in our individual timeline. But how do we do this? When we're constantly getting poked and prodded at and shoved in our faces what everybody else is doing, where we should be, how literally the whole world is in Italy this summer, how, you need to have this outfit, that these were those little net shoes were the shoes of the summer. If you didn't have them, were you even summering? I bought the cheap ones off Target. I'm my husband made fun of me. He made fun of Chelsea, who is a soccer player. She's on CBS. He made fun of her, and she got them. We all, I fell victim to the Love Shack Fancy Stanley collab. I got, we get got by the timeline. And unfortunately, the timeline, which is other people's timelines of them going on vacation, them doing things, them going dancing on a Tuesday night in the summer, or having, the block party or whatever we're not at. It gets us. And it feels like they're flaunting it in our faces, but they're not. It's actually Zuckerberg who's flaunting it in our faces. Okay. So don't blame it on those people. It's a challenge to just Pay attention, eyes on your own paper. But let's not look at it as a challenge. Let's look at it as an act of rebellion. Okay. Let's look at it as us holding a middle finger to Zucks and saying, I'm worried about me, baby. You're not getting me with those targeted ads. I don't care that those little net shoes, they're done. I can't wear them past September, Just keep your own focus. Keep your eyes on your own paper. Okay. Now, over the past year, 2 years, maybe a year and a half, the people who I would never have expected to get me to this point have gotten me to this point. Who are they? Professional athletes, specifically footballers. Those are people who play soccer, but they don't call it soccer. They call it football. Trust me, it's a little confusing if you're not in the world, but the people in the world, they totally get it. So when I say footballers, I mean people who kick soccer balls. Okay? These are the last people on earth that I thought I'd be chopping it up with and figuring out how to basically not give a fuck about what anybody else is doing, but also at the same time, learn to keep my eyes on my own paper and also look at missed opportunities, things that I thought were missed opportunities, missed situations, setbacks, failures, wins, the cycle of those things, having to pull back, go back to the drawing board. Like, these is the last group of people that I would have ever imagined would have gotten me to this point. I've been in a lot of workshops. I've been in a lot of, like meditation, spiritual stuff, retreats, silent retreats, journaling things like yoga. I've been in rooms with people like Laura Lynn Jackson, got a reading from her a couple of months ago. I went to see Abraham Hicks a couple of months ago. Like all the things that I do, turns out it was a bunch of soccer players who are going to drive this narrative home for me. Okay? So how did this happen? Basically, I was at dinner, went to this dinner. My husband told me who was going to be there. Didn't know what any of these people did. Looked some of them up on my phone because I was like, let me see if I could at least try to drop some shit into this conversation, at least say what team that they played for. Had to go to the bathroom and like Google again, like what team the person played for. So like I could at least bring that up. Okay. And guess what? Didn't even have to bring up what team we played for because during dinner, I end up sitting next to this player, and we just started chopping it up. We were yipping, like, to the point where they were like, I'm so glad that I got stuck next to you. That's literally what they said. And I appreciate that when someone's like, I'm really glad I got stuck next to you. I didn't think it was going to, that's like a typical me thing. Didn't think it was going to go this way. But you know what? I have gratitude for the fact that you and me, baby, we got stuck and we ended up sharing a piece of cheesecake. And honestly, it was great. I was really kind of disappointed that they ate all the fucking strawberry sauce. But you know what? They got a trophy. And also I was a +1 at this dinner. So anyway, we shared this piece of cheesecake. And while we shared this piece of cheesecake, we talked about grief. We talked about loss. We talked about intuition. We talked about childhood trauma, anxiety, keeping your focus, setting boundaries. And I got to be honest with you, chilling with these professional athletes and chilling with these soccer players, footballers, has taught me so much about boundaries, because I put this on Instagram one time. I've watched these people bring their own food to a fucking barbecue. Okay. Like we're at a barbecue, we're at someone's house and someone rolls in with their own cooler and they're like, yeah, I can't eat chips and Doritos. And like, I didn't know what you were going to have. No offense. So I brought my own shit because like I'm training. I've seen people at dinners, literally we're in the middle of dinner, like, fettuccine Alfredo, fork to mouth, and then be like, all right, cool, I got to bounce. And the whole table will be like, oh, yeah, you got to get to bed early. Yeah, you got an early call time tomorrow. Oh, like the ones who are journalists. Oh, or like, yeah, no, man, I get it. Like you guys are, you got to be in camp or whatever the hell they call it, next week. Like, and just get up. Like literally no one's like, hey, I'll just stay for 5 minutes or just like one more drink. I mean, some of them not even drinking, like no alcohol at all, but fucking seltzers and lime all night. Also, soccer players learned a new drink. You get first off, you say, hi, when they ask you your drink order. Do you have lime and mint? And they'll be like, yeah, because typically if it's a half decent fucking place, they have lime and mint. And then you're like, can you, and now this always works for the soccer players. I don't know if it's going to work for like us. So make sure you ask nice. But they'll be like, can you do a little lime and mint? Like, can you muddle that for me? Because you get the flavors out of it, right? Can you muddle that for me in a glass and then fill it with some seltzer? Let me tell you something. It's like a Hugo Spritz without the booze. It's great. It's very refreshing. And, anyway, that's what I learned from them. But these people can set boundaries. No drinking, bringing their own foods. No one saying, "Oh, you want to split some chips and queso?" They're like, "No, are you kidding me? This body's a goddamn machine right now. You want me to put chips in like, no. I got to do this. I got to eat this way. Like, I got to go to bed." Yeah. And no one bats an eyelash. No one tries to convince them otherwise because they're setting the boundary. They're saying, "This is what I do." So same level of respect we need to have for ourselves that they do. And also the people around us, like, we kind of got to be like, no, I'm sorry. I got to go home. I can't stay out another half hour. I get it. Like, I get this is your kid's birthday, but I got to go home. I got to go to sleep. Okay. So that's what I've learned. One of the big deal things that I've learned from them this year. And then on top of it, the other things, which I'm going to share now. So at this one dinner I went to, this was kind of like the start of me realizing, like, basically how into this and what a grasp of the mental these athletes have. I know a lot of you are probably listening to that statement and being like, how does this bitch not know this? But, sports like, if you know anything about me for 15 minutes, you know what I mean? Like, Okay. So basically, the lessons I got in mindfulness, somatic embodiment, that term was used, standing in your own power, whether that's that's on the pitch or that's off, or, like in contract negotiations. Let me tell you something. And if one more of them said, trust your intuition more, like you would think, like, that's what I say. Like, I couldn't believe this is what they were saying to me, So I was like, whole time, I'm like, did I find my people? Like, this is the last people I thought of, ended up being my people. But they are very woo. They're wildly superstitious. I mean, I know athletes are superstitious. They got rituals, the mindset, the mantras, vision boards, okay? Just like the mental game that they play with themselves, that they have to tell themselves, how the visualization exercises they do of, like, none of them are waking up in the morning and being like, I'm not going to get that goal. No, they're closing their eyes. They're visualizing the goal. They're feeling what it feels like to be on the pitch. One person told me, like, before they go on the pitch, they feel themselves on the pitch. They imagine the pitch under their feet of what it feels like to step on the pitch. They're like, no matter where I am, I feel that. And they're like, the entire, like, week before the match or the couple of days leading up to the match, they'll be like, I step into the shower and I feel the pitch. I'm in fucking Whole Foods and I feel the pitch. And it's just like it's like telling your mind and your body and your soul and your higher self and all the things, like, get there before we get there. Like, be on that winning timeline. Let me tell you. If we could do this with an email, like, we can do it. Trust me. The interviews, dates, we could do it. So they declare what they want to the universe. Does it always happen? No. But, okay, kicker, literally, like how you used kicker there. Kicker, it almost eventually always happens down the line. Again, being open to this or something greater. Not Donna declaring last year that she was going to go to Europe for an entire month. Did I go to Europe for a whole month? Yes. Did it happen to be in 2 and 1 week increments? This summer? Yes. So, like, it didn't happen in the 30-day span that I thought it was going to be. I wasn't waking up every morning going, buongiorno, can I have a cornetto, still learning, and grazie mille. Like, it wasn't that every day. It was that, then it was like, come home, work for 2 weeks, work till 16 hours, then jump back on a plane and go back. But I got what I wanted eventually. It just didn't look how I wanted it to look in the moment. And kind of this is what the footballers have taught me. They achieve success. they achieve failure. They achieve setbacks, big wins, moving through like super big losses. And this happens like nonstop again and again. And, and a lot of the times, a few of them found out my career's going great. I just got this. I just got picked for this team. I just got this promotion, relegation. Is that a thing? Pretty sure. And then what did I find out? I found out that my marriage is over on Instagram, and I haven't even gotten out of bed yet. So, or, found out that I don't know, like that my team's trading me. So it's a lot of push-pull and a lot of like seesawing from like something that feels great to feeling like absolutely like shit. And these athletes, their journeys, right, are about defying a conventional timeline. Because like first off, they're fucking professional athletes. So they've already defined the timeline. But then they're constantly having to rewrite their own story and their own timeline in the scope of their career and sometimes at the detriment and fault of their own careers. So like you gotta like wrap your head around that. Like they're constantly having to move and shift because it's like they're a great athlete and they kicked the goal and they got it, but then they fucking blew their ACL and now they're out, So it's like something amazing they did could also be like this career is also the reason why like they're like shit sucks right now, So they persevere and they move through. And what one of them had said to me is they said the following: you have to adapt, you have to be on your individual timeline, and you have to understand that you have to find a commitment to yourself instead of being compelled by the sport and everything else. And when you find that commitment to yourself again, okay, and I'm going to relate this to summer and bring this all back together and make this a nice little cohesive thing. That commitment to yourself, Simone Biles, ends up setting you up for a better and more fulfilling insert whatever here. Summer, fall, winter, career, interview, relationship, whatever you're trying to click off and check off, okay? But in this commitment, there is a necessity to address what's working and what's not. What needs critical improvement? This is why they watch tapes. This is why they watch themselves. This is why they watch their opponents. This is why they do drills. This is why, they have coaches. This is why you have people trying to, refine you and just kind of know when to push you, but when not to, and know when to rest and know when to give the pep talk and to know when to like just shut the fuck up, right? And we got to learn how to like be our own coach, and we got to learn how to do this to ourselves. We also got to find people in our lives. This is why coaches are great. Like this is why mentors are great. This is why we need these things, okay? So you have to ask yourself, do I need a big plan? Or is it a small, consistent effort right now? Like what's going to be the thing? And when it comes to summer and when it comes to everything that we're talking about right now, I'm going to share something with you that I found online. Hold on a second. Let me pull it up. Shall I? Okay. So basically, when you say to yourself, I'm going to have the greatest summer ever. I want to have the best summer. I want to do this. I want to do that. You are actually setting yourself up for giant failure. Why is that? The greatest summer is never going to happen. Okay? You're sabotaging yourself before you even start. Because your brain wants you to know that when you set up some big scheme thing and some big grandiose, I'm going to win the World Cup, I'm going to get a gold medal, you can't just wake up on Tuesday and like think that's going to happen. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, you make it difficult for your brain to wrap around these giant goals that you want, okay? There's a part of your brain called the frontal lobe. It's in charge of executive function. Executive function is planning, and it's basically executing tasks, okay? And like an executive, like a little CEO, it's saying what's important, what could we do, what could we accomplish that we have the capacity for. And again, your brain has limited capacity. First off, we don't even use like the majority of our brain, okay, of all the stuff that's going on there. So when you tell your frontal lobe, okay, the CEO, something that's too big, that's too grand, that's too, how do I say, like wide, that's not clear, it gets overwhelmed because it can't plan out all the steps. Like I wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to go win the World Series. My brain's gonna be like, what? Because I don't even know what train to take to Yankee Stadium, So that's why you get overwhelmed. That's why you can't feel like you get all the stuff done. That's why you're sitting there like, oh, I might as well just watch Netflix because my brain knows I'm good at that. And you don't go out and have the summer that you want, right? So let's relate this to summer. We say we're going to have the greatest summer of our lives. This summer's going to be it. The summer's going to be the summer. You tell your brain that. You can't tell your brain that because that involves too many steps for that part of the brain to plan out, okay? So what you could do is you can make a list of things that may bring you joy. You can make a summit bucket list. You can say, what are things I could be doing in New York City if a tourist, like I live in New York, if a tourist came to New York City, what would they do in the summer, okay? You can say, what could be a great day trip I could take from here? What's something I've always wanted to do that I've never done? How could I be a tourist in my own backyard, right? We can do that. We can do those things. We could do a little research. We could look at the steps and we can kind of figure out how to break it down a bit. We could also maybe let go of the perfection of it. We can prioritize maybe some self-care and relaxation in that. So the brain already thinks it's winning, that we've already accomplished. We can have a little bit of structure in the day and then maybe some room for spontaneity. Okay, say, hey, at 9 a.m. tomorrow, I'm going to go and jump on the train and I'm going to get off at a random stop. Okay, so we have a plan. And then I'm going to get off at a random stop. And then I'm going to walk around. And I don't know what's going to happen. And there's your balance between spontaneity and structure. You can say, hey, I'm going to just go to the park and be outside and see what's up. You can also call a friend. You can call some family. You can reconnect with them. You can try something new. You can have a spa or self-care like sitch in your house. You can set that up. Okay? We can say, I don't care about the FOMO. I don't care about the stuff that I might have missed out on. And my summer doesn't have to look like everybody else's to be fulfilling. Okay? We could also make a list of the things that we're grateful for that happened this summer. We could acknowledge that we're learning and growing just by doing the things that I just talked about on this podcast. Okay? We can also say, hey, fuck it. Let's celebrate what's left. We got plenty of time. There's so much to enjoy, and it's never too late to create. And what if we were told you only got the next 2 weeks? How would you make the most of them? Okay? Imagine that's it. It's done after 2 weeks. Like we're going to sit here and think about how we didn't do anything all summer, or we're going to try to end it on a positive note and keep it open. Okay? Breaking it down for the frontal lobe. Need to get a little organized. Okay? You need to create and find a system where you can offload these things that you want to do, write them down, brain dump them, and put them somewhere. So maybe you make little pieces of paper in a jar and you have your little summer bucket list for the next couple of weeks. And every day you pick a little thing out of the jar and you say, okay, today's the day we're going to get a latte. Today's the day we're going to go do this. Today's the day we're going to go hang out with this person. Okay? This way you free your brain up. Or maybe you write it all down in a notebook and you say stuff that could be done randomly on a day, stuff that would need a couple of days notice, stuff that I want to do by September. And every day you open the book in whatever mood you're kind of feeling in, or you say, you know what? Every day I'm going to do this, and then we're going to plan something that has to be done in September, and we're going to get it on the calendar. But you got to free up your brain so it can handle this stuff and it can deal with the tasks at hands. Okay? Start prioritizing. What's the number one thing you want to do? What's the thing that you're gonna you'd have FOMO with yourself if you didn't get to do it. Break it down into steps. Okay? And then you will feel less overwhelmed, and this won't seem like such a, oh my God, what did I not do? Okay? Because these athletes, they're really living in the present. They're really saying, okay, this is a situation. This is what I got on my plate. This is what I got to deal with. who knows what this is setting me up for? Right now it kind of feels like it sucks, and right now this is terrible, and I'm going to do that, but I got to pick myself up and I got to keep it moving. Okay? And I got to set myself up to be committed to me. And the other thing that I was told was that you have to bring yourself back. And what does that mean? You have to bring yourself back to the moment where you remember what it felt like just to kind of play the game, just to kind of be in it. The simple joy. Okay? You have to look at things through that lens. You have to look at things through the lens of, before this became so overwhelming, before I kind of started comparing myself to everybody, before I got on everybody else's timeline, what are the little things that made me happy? Okay? Because when you get committed to your own joy and the little things that make you happy, okay, not someone else's vacation, not what somebody else is doing, not someone else's relationship. I will tell you, shit is not always what it seems, okay? You can think people have the best relationships. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. You can think that someone's got it all, and you don't know how shitty they feel or how alone they feel or how unfulfilled they feel. Or maybe they look like, they're on top of the world, but they're a barrel of anxiety. And yeah, maybe they're running around and doing all these things, but they're not even in the moment and they're not even present. Like you never know. So just like stop looking at people's lives and thinking like you're missing out on something, because you never know. Okay? You got to get committed to you. You got to get committed to your own joy and not compelled by like what other people's things are and I gotta be honest, a lot of people are just living on dopamine hits. Okay? They're not even happy. They're just like constantly like getting the dopamine rush. Experience the present with absolutely no agenda outside of your own joy, and try to do that for the rest of the summer. Okay? Say yes to the experience. Put yourself out of your comfort zone. Okay? Look at yourself, look at your own soul, confront what you've been avoiding, why you haven't been doing the things you wanted to do the last couple of weeks, why you haven't been going out, and ask yourself, what can I do for me? Like, what would make me feel great? Maybe it's just going to get ice cream, like going to get a sundae. That's a vibe. You're an adult. Guess what? You don't have to wait. You can fucking get up right now. It could be work, the middle of the work day. The other day, me and my coworker, we got sundaes at like 3:00 on a Saturday. Literally in the middle of the work day, I like stood up and I go, I'm going to go get a sundae. And they were like, yeah, get me one too. And then we sat there like in total silence, just enjoying these sundaes. And what did he say? Oh, at one point he goes, wow, this is lovely. Like when he was eating his sundae, like it was just such pure joy for both of us, because like we're adults. We can fucking go get sundaes at 3 p.m. You got to stop holding yourself to this bullshit. You got to understand you're on your own path. You got to understand that sometimes you got to create your own joy. You can't be expecting to be invited to the barbecue. Sometimes you got to go to Mighty Quinn's and get a little brisket and a little coleslaw and have a date with yourself. And sit there and eat it and bring the joy out of that. Okay? Because guess what? Might that feel isolating? Yes. But the majority of times you have people in an entire room surrounded by people who are so excited they've been there and who are so excited they're there. And this has been my life at times. And you still feel wildly alone and you still feel a distinct sense of isolation. Okay? A lot of people don't talk about that a lot. There's a confession. It's also something that we should be talking about a lot more, because the loneliness that comes with climbing your individual timeline, it's lonely. But you got to keep pulling yourself back to the joys of just being in the game, of just adulting, of not having to do summer reading, okay? Unless you want to. You got to find unfiltered, pure joy, okay? And you got to stop doing what we do, which is basically, which we've been conditioned from since we were kids. And I've been giving this a lot of thought lately, is a lot of us have been conditioned that you can't have fun and you can't have any play until all of the tasks are completed, until all of the checklist is done. It like sometimes like I want to come home and I want to like chill and watch TV, or I want to go out, and then like I hold myself in detention, or I hold myself, like I ground myself, and I'm like, oh, I can't go and have fun because like I have to do the dishes, or I have to go do and it's like, you don't have to fucking do anything. Like if you don't have kids, go fucking, who cares if the dishes are done? Go have some fun. Is this why you haven't had fun this summer? Because you were trying to like, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta go like, oh, it's already 3:00. Oh, it's already 5:00. And if you work from home, I know this has definitely messed you up, because a lot of people like they work from home and they're like, oh, it's already 5:00. No, you push yourself out. Go out. Okay. We've been conditioned, a lot of us too, especially as girls, and women, we've been conditioned in this like caretaker, caregiver role where like even as kids in our play, we couldn't relax. We were like playing house. We were playing school. We were playing, I don't know. I was playing owned a bridal store. I was playing owned a doctor's office. I was the receptionist and the doctor. I mean, if you know me and I love doing things myself, that's definitely fitting. But, meanwhile, the boys, like my cousins and my brother, were running around chasing each other, knocking each other down, having pure fun, getting it out of their systems, crashing Tonka trucks into each other and pretending to like shoot each other with super soakers and, Nerf guns. And I was sitting there with like my 9 babies trying to figure out how I was going to run this bridal shop, be a doctor, and like, pop over to like the school because I was also the teacher. Like it was stressful. Meanwhile, my brothers and my cousins are playing swords, and they're like fake stabbing each other through the armpits on the lawn, like, come on. So chill out, take a breath, and let yourself have some fun. And it doesn't have to be responsibility, chores first, all the work. Like lighten up a bit, go have some fun. Go be on your own timeline, whatever that's been until this point. Stop depriving yourself. Maybe you were deprived of these things when you were younger. Maybe you had to earn your freedom when you were younger. Maybe you had to earn your, rewards, right? In order to, like, for instance, my good friend Elena and my husband, both of them, and my husband does not, and I'll tell you, a lot of men don't subscribe to this, but like, this happens with my friend Elena. She won't let herself go have fun until the chores are done, because when she was younger, she was raised that every Saturday morning they weren't allowed to go out and they weren't allowed to do anything until the entire house was clean. And that was the priority. As soon as they woke up on Saturday, like no fun, no fucking around watching cartoons. It was, we got to clean this house. We got to mop. You got to clean your rooms. We got to do laundry. We got to do this. We got to do that. And then you can go have fun and then we can go out. So she has let this spill over into her adult life. And so she won't allow herself joy sometimes because she's like, well, I have so much to do. And I'm like, and I have to remind her, I'm like, Elena, you can go out. Like, you're the mom now. You're the fucking adult now. Like, you don't have to, like, it can wait. We can go have a little spontaneity. Okay? Like, we can go do that. Maybe you had helicopter parents who were so worried and so like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that you can't like, let up a little bit. Okay? Maybe they were scared for you. Or maybe you didn't have the funds. Maybe you didn't have the money. Maybe you didn't have, the ability to go do this stuff. So what I want you to do for the next couple of weeks, we have until September, is figure out some stuff you want to do. Figure out a bucket list. Figure out your own timeline. Figure out what's going to make you happy. And don't have FOMO for the rest of the summer. Because you're already winning. You're in the game. You're here. You're alive. Stop putting other people's expectations on yourself. Stop putting your own expectations on yourself and burdening yourself and telling that lobe of the brain, the executive lobe, oh, this has to be the greatest summer ever. No, let's just go try to get a date on the calendar. Let's go try to have a spontaneous day, if I could say it. Let's try to, so we're doing some organization here, we're planning. Let's sleep in one day and just be a fucking total Netflix chill, order some takeout, sit in the air conditioning. Let's meet up with friends. Let's see where the day takes us. And let's have maybe like a total tourist itinerary or go do something that like would be like a tourist thing, or you would go take friends if they came in from out of town. Like, let's go do that. How does that sound? Stop having your focus be on external pressures, obligations, and shift it to a more personal and internal motivation. Okay? Stop feeling driven by comparison, by what other people are doing, by the demands of just, what's happening out there, and just look inward to you. Be committed to your own well-being, your own little goals for the rest of the summer, whatever they are, whether it's a change in your priorities, your relationship to yourself, your self-care. Realize that you will enjoy the participation in whatever it is that you're going to do, and let your motivation come from a place of self-care, of self-respect, of personal fulfillment, rather than whatever you had with comparison or what you had going on with other people. Okay? Some other things you may want to do: define what your personal timeline is right now. Okay? And then maybe write down where you've been feeling the pressure of societal expectations for like whatever things you got going on. Okay? And maybe take a look back and see how you've grown this summer, where you were in May or June to where you are now in August. Okay? And start approaching moving forward with the present having no agenda. Let's take some advice from these athletes, from these footballers. Let's not have expectations. Let's remain neutral. Let's not have any like predetermined emotions or feelings or what we're going to expect when we have that day date. We're just going to go on that day date. We're going to be present and we're going to see where it takes us. Okay? Focus on the present moment. Don't look at the past. Don't worry about the future. Experience the rest of the summer as it's happening in real time. Stop trying to force narratives. Stop trying to force outcomes. Whatever comes up, have a loose plan though, so we can, again, we have to like tell the universe what we want so it can respond, and just be in it and enjoy it. Okay? Because this is your timeline. This is your life. This is what you have going on. And remember, you're already winning. You're here. You're doing it. If you can commit to the fact that you've already won, I promise you the rest is going to be gravy. I promise. If you want to get into the comments, if you want to get into the chat to tell me what you got going on, what you're looking forward to this summer, what you did this summer that you're really happy about, that was a real big hot take for you, was a real takeaway moment, please put it in the chat. Okay? There's a new post on the Art of Self on the Substack where it's like kind of a lot of stuff about the soccer player thing and the footballers, and it goes in much deeper. And yeah, that's what I got going on. And let's pull a final card to give us an idea here. Give us an idea of how we can make the rest of the summer really amazing. Let's see what we got. Okay, so pull another card here to kind of give us an idea of what we could be doing this summer. What's like the first thing we can start with. And the card with the moon and the stars came out basically all night. So kind of like, yeah, maybe you need to pull an all-nighter. Maybe you need to go out and just like have fun all night. Stay out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, go dancing, go bopping around. I don't know, go to a midnight movie, go, yeah, stop being in bed at 9 o'clock. I had a pretty late night like 2 weeks ago. It took me like 3 days to recover from it, but it was great. It was a proper, as my British footballer friends would say, it was a proper summer evening. So maybe go have yourself a proper summer night, stay out, watch the sunrise, walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, go be in a diner as the sun's coming up. Yeah, that sounds like, I think we all need one of those. I know I need one of those. And I'm planning on doing a bunch of day dates for the rest of August and taking myself on a bunch of New York City adventures and just seeing where it takes me and reconnecting with myself and spoiling myself a bit. And I'm going to document it and I'll tell you what I ended up doing. I'll probably make a vlog of it. And then I want to meet up with some friends and reconnect with some friends. And that's what I got going on. But I'm going to have an all-nighter. I want to go out dancing. And I literally just want to I'll probably just with Christina Hutchinson where we'll stay out all night and then like be eating eggs and bacon. Well, she won't. I don't think she'll eat bacon, but I will. And we'll be sitting there as the sun comes up. And then I'll probably need 3 days off to recoup from that. And I'm sure my sciatica will be flaring up again. And yeah, that's what I'll have going on. See how I connect to all this? All right. You're on your own timeline. I'm on mine. They overlap. We have fun together. But you got to learn how to have fun with yourself. You got to learn how to move through. You got to learn that, yeah, this shit is isolating sometimes and it sucks and it's lonely. And sometimes you got to pull back and sometimes you got to make tiny little gestures instead of big grand ones. And sometimes you have a full blown night out and you stay out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and you rage. And other nights, you're just, you're just checking some little boxes off and you're reading 20 pages a night in that book. So by the end of the next 2 to 3 months, you have a whole book read because you did 20 pages a night, as opposed to like banging it out on the weekends like we used to do with summer reading before we had to go back to school and write those reports. These kids don't even do summer reading anymore. I mean, come on, guys. Anyway, stay safe, stay healthy. Most importantly, take care of yourself. I hope this episode wasn't too chaotic. Please go on my Substack. Please go read this post. Please comment. Please let me know what you're doing. How you going to hang out the rest of the summer? What do you got going on? What are you doing? What are you looking forward to? Give me a day date. Let's put some day date ideas in the chat. Can we get that going? I would love that. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye.